Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We got a American-made, made in USA Strat on the bench today. We're doing a cleanup, a setup, and whatever else we find. It's been a long time since this guitar got some attention according to the customer. So we're going to check all the hardware. I found some loose pots. I found a loose output jack. Some of it I've already tinkered with. I did wipe it down a little bit already, but I still going to de-string it and get to work. So let's get to it. If you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. I appreciate all of your support and your comments. I've been getting some comments lately. So we have a pretty cool little Stratocaster. I dig it. It's going to need a full setup because I got some loose hardware here. The trim looks like it's floating, but we're going to check all that stuff out and do what we do. So first thing we always do is check the neck relief to see where we're at, so we know what we got, where we got to go. And it's way too tight, unplayable tight. So that would go in hand with what he said. It hasn't been set up in a long time. Probably the wood and the neck has straightened. Usually, oh yeah, it's dead straight as an arrow. So I want to check that and make sure that we can adjust it. It should be standard. I'm guessing 1/8 by the looks of it. By the looks of it. Yup. So we got to put some relief in there, which means we have to go to the left. And yeah, there we go. And I'm going to say, I would almost guess that's going to be enough. Just by looking at it. Oh yeah. Yeah. Not even a quarter of a turn. Not even a quarter of a turn. I'm going to roll with that and continue on with the rest of the setup. Because I'm pretty certain, come out of there, you. Pretty certain that's going to be where we need to be. Anyway, it's much better. It was so tight that I couldn't even get the feeler gauge in. So it's really responded well to the adjustment. Out of curiosity, I wonder where they're all over the place. Jeez, woof. Wow. I'm going to check this stuff now because usually it's the last thing I do, but I already got the thing out to measure it. This one does not seem to want to go down, and it looks as though there's something holding it. It keeps pushing back up, so we may require further investigation. That's better. These are all really close, and that one's just a little bit too far away. Perfect. Perfect. I like it. I like that a lot. String spacing looks pretty decent. Yeah. I wonder where our string action is before we get too far. actually. No, they're all over the place. Up, down, too high, too low. Two of them are exact, yeah, so they're going to need to be adjusted, of course. That's all part of it. I already fixed the output jack. That was loose as soon as I got it. I want to pull these off and see what is going on here because they seem really loose. They don't want to come off. There we go. Oh yeah, definitely loose. I think we're going to try. They're just slightly. I can't remember if they're 13 or 12. That one tightened right up. Very good. And always try to get them pointing in the right direction, all the same. Turn them all the way up so the 10 is all the way in that direction towards the pickups, which they all are right now. That one seems really loose. I wonder if these pods are bad. No, that one's loose too. Okay, that one we may need to get on the bottom. Shit. I don't like twisting them like that. No, they tightened up. Good. Perfect. That's the one that's really loose. You gotta be very careful. And somebody has squeezed these together. I don't know why. That one is going to give me trouble, I can tell. Missing a screw there. Nope, we're going to have to loosen that up. I hate when that happens. Yeah, we're missing a screw right there. Maybe we can reach in if we just get these few off. You got to be super careful when you're tightening up stuff like this, because if you just start wrenching on it, you could be twisting wires down in there, and that's what you got to be really careful of. I mean, this one, these two tightened up okay, but this one is acting a little funky. So you got to reach in there, hold the pot, and then try to turn it. You got lucky on that one. Gotta find it a screw. Not to worry, I got a million of them. A million of them. I can only guess that it's probably going to need a probably going to need a toothpick or something in there. That's the one right there. Because usually when a screw's missing, that means it won't tighten up and it got lost. We'll find out right now. Hopefully we won't have to get back in that cavity. Everything seems to be working. I did test out the electronics earlier off camera. Everything seemed to be doing what it's supposed to. Okay, something is not lining up here. What is going on? Or there's a busted screw in there. The screw hole is all the way over here. That's why there's no... Oh boy. Yeah, we gotta fix that. the screw hole does not line up at all, which means, yeah, I think I can drill a small pilot hole there and get that screw in there, because the hole is way up there. Somebody must have changed this pick guard at one time. The other ones are lining up okay. Why not that one? Golly, it seems like there's no, it just is not a great fit, is all. Well, you know what I always say, you never know what you're going to run into. So what we're going to do is do just a tiny, tiny, tiny drill hole there. Stand by. Yeah, just the tiniest little drill hole right there. And that, as they say, is that. If it wasn't such a pain in the butt to take the entire thing off, I would have filled up the other hole with a toothpick or something, but it was so far away from the existing hole that I was able to put a new pilot hole in there and just fill it with the right screw. Yahtzee. So that one's tight. Let's see, that is squeezed all the way together. What the heck? But they stay on there tight. There's actually a middle stop on that tone, but there isn't on that one. That's weird. I wonder if that's a splitter of some sort. Well, it's on there tight, and it lines up well, so good enough. Good enough. So that's one repair done. Let's destring this thing and get to work on it. We're gonna get to the back of this right now, because I know we're gonna need to be in there as always on a floating bridge. That's standard operating procedure. I like this little guitar. It's really quite a nice instrument. It's got a skunk stripe, but it looks like it's got a laminated board on it. Don't know what year it is. I'm going to guess it's 80s maybe. Late 80s. Just guessing. I'm not basing it on anything. Everything looks good there. What kind of strings are on this thing? I believe I measured them the other day and they were 10s. Let's see. .46 and 11s. It's got 11s on it. That's too much string. I'm going to put 10s. I'm going to put the 10s. Stand by while I de-string it. We got the strings off. I'm definitely going to go ahead and polish the frets, oil the board, you know, the usual routine. Clean up the headstock. I got to check for tightness on the hardware is nice and snug. Yeah, I like to see that. That's good. And I want to get under here and clean this. Usually you can get a shirt to pop under there and pull all the cat hair out. There, just like that. Get cleaned up. That looks better. Much better. Use a t-shirt for that. It's got that double stitched edge, and if you just work it a little bit, it gets under there and cleans that mess up. This guitar wasn't real dirty, but it did take me a few minutes to get some of the outside grime off. One thing I want to remember to check. Those are snug. Those are all snug, but I know these are loose. Tighten right up good. Yeah, like that. So far, everything's pretty Jake on this guitar. So, you know the routine. Fret eraser. I'm going to go through that 3 steps. 180, then 400, then 1000. We're going to polish up these frets. Standard stuff, I do it on almost every guitar that I have in the shop. When they come in for something, I try to do this on every one that needs it anyway. And just to show you how tedious it is, you start with 180 and you do them all. And that's a 3-step process. So I'm going to pause while I do this. But instantly you can see the difference in that they start to shine up. So stand by. So 3-step process as usual. I don't film the whole thing because it takes about 10-20 minutes. Depending on how much there is on there. These were not that bad, but it takes a while. The 1000 grit, once you get down to the 1000 grit, that one goes the fastest because you're really just putting a fine shine on them at that point. The other ones are a little more aggressive. They get all the gook, grime, tarnish, DNA, and then once you're done, you see, I mean, it just brings them back to life. It's worth the effort, the extra effort of doing this. If your guitar guy is not polishing your frets when he does your setup, change and get a different guy. I do it on almost every guitar, unless it's a new guitar or something like that. But I find that when you're doing this and a guitar hasn't been worked on in a long time, that is just a standard operating procedure. Yeah, and they really come out nice and shiny. Big difference. And you know, the next step is oil on the fretboard. We're going to do 2 parts in this. I'm going to show you all this stuff, what we did here, cleaning it a little bit, and you know, basically addressing the neck, addressing the neck and fretboard. making sure all the hardware is tight and snug, and then we're going to get to stringing it and doing the setup in a second video. Because, yeah, sometimes these things take longer than you expect, but this is what you have to do. You can see the tarnish. See that little blue black line there? That's the tarnish coming off of the frets, the fret wires. It makes for a much smoother playing instrument and a nicer playing experience when you're working the instrument. And you don't know the difference over time. It's very insidious, but when you get a guitar back after it's been treated to some care and some maintenance, and it starts to feel brand new again, you know the difference. And it should become habit to do this stuff as often as it's needed. A little boiled linseed oil on the fretboard will not only bring the color back, but there was a lot of imperfections from age, just normal wear and tear on an instrument. The board shrinks, the character in the board. This oil will fill in those little spots and harden, so it's functional as well as looks good. And it was really dry, so I'm putting a little bit extra on this time. The last couple I've gotten were really dry, and I had to do multiple applications of the oil, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it, especially up here in the money zone where this guitar gets used a lot. And this guitar's been played. The frets have some wear on them, not bad wear. Not when I say they've got wear on them, that's normal. It's not bad wear. It's just this instrument has been played, and it's been played all over. Got fret wear here, here. So this guy not only playing cowboy chords, he's getting adventurous with some leads. And then we take it off. And because we put it on a little bit heavy, it's going to stay in all those imperfections and grooves, and it'll disappear in there, but it'll get rock hard and become part of the board, as well as nourish the wood. I wouldn't say this board was dirty. It was just neglected. Hadn't been treated to a oil and fret polish in a long time. But at least I can say it's been stored properly, because it didn't have mold or really bad corrosion on it. If you store a guitar improperly and it's not in a dehumidified area, you get a lot more problems than that. Trust me, I've seen them. I've seen them all. So that is that, as they say. So let's get it. How much time we got left? Well, I'm going to stop it there. Okay, that's the first part. And that's pretty much standard. And you see the real time in this was about an hour cleaning this guitar, checking all the hardware. I did make some setup adjustments already before I pulled the strings off, but knowing that I'm going from 11s to 10s, that stuff's all, with the exception of the pickup height, all that stuff's going to have to be set up properly. So everything we did today was just preparing the guitar and basically cleaning it, taking off decades of stuff that were gathered up on it, getting the board and the frets. That's the business end of any guitar, the fretboard and the frets. That's where you get your tactile interaction with the guitar, and then the rest of it's down here. So cleanup, setup is coming. The cleanup is done. The setup, restring and setup is coming. That's going to be part 2. We'll talk soon.